this is obviously the saga schedule that they announced last week, and it didn't hit well with the community. And I remember story time Wozza. I remember a while back, a similar thing happened where they tried stacking a few hard events in a close period. And the community sort of was up in arms saying, this is not good enough, this is ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. You get the gist. And then the apes said, okay, we hear you, we're going to change it, and they changed it. Then it led to people suggesting things, how to fix things. Freedom's Max came out with an idea for, I think it was like a 12-week saga or something, and everyone came out with different ideas on how they can kind of fix it so people aren't getting burnt out, there's not too many big events, and they can sort of space things out equally. Now, for me personally, I would say there needs to be 3 weeks between each big event. So I would say you could probably get away with roughly having 3 per saga at a push. So you might have an easy 1 week one, a hard 1 week 2, then a hard 1 week 5, and then a hard 1 week 8. So 2, 5, 8. So then the only problem with that is that between 2 and 8, you've only got 2 weeks. But with it being 8 weeks, you can't have 3 between each week because it's not 9 weeks, it's 8. So that's kind of the way it goes. It was 9 weeks, it'd be dead simple, 3 weeks between each big event. And I kind of think that would make sense. But they want to keep it with the 8-week saga, which is fine. It's up to them. But the problem with this is that obviously there's so many hard events. There's 4 hard events in a 6-week period, which is kind of scandalous. Now, that's bad enough. But I work in an industry where we have to try and estimate what people are going to spend of their income, going out drinking, going out enjoying themselves, disposable income. So people always try and pay their bills and things like that, but you got to think that over the summertime, people have gone on holiday, people spent on credit cards, people spend quite a lot of money taking the kids out here, there and everywhere, and the majority of the players that play this game are grown men with families, 40, 50 years old. So most of the people have probably done those things over the summer. And then this kind of year, September, October, is always a bit of a lull in the service industry because it's a time where everyone has spent a lot of money and everyone is getting ready for spending a lot of money again at Christmas. So those that have spent a lot are quite hard on cash, and those that are waiting for Christmas are spending money, so they're going to be hard on cash. It's that kind of time of year. It's always the case early January. It's always the case of September, October. As long as I can remember, done this job for 25 years in the service sector, so I understand this is always the way. So it comes as a bit of a surprise when straight after this sort of lull that we get in the industry, we have 4 hard events where they're expecting you to spend quite a lot of money. So as you can see, the legacy bots is a 100,000 point event each. The 5-star combiner is individual endurance for 120k. Now, granted, it is mayhem, but it's still a difficult weekend. It's still a big weekend, and it's still the fact you've got to spend. Then it's Thanksgiving, nice easy event. Then it's 5-star Titan, right before Christmas, individual endurance, and then we've got 125,000 points. Then 2 weeks after that, so we've already got 4 in 6 weeks with this one. We've got a new Prime and Artifact right before Christmas, as in the week of Christmas, and that's an Alliance leaderboard, 100k each. So basically, they are asking you to put up around 500k points in the space of 6 weeks. That's a lot. That's a lot. I think you're probably looking at around $40 to $60. Let's say $50 to round it up. If you're being quite efficient, to do 120k, 130k. Let's say $50 to be very economic. But you times that by 4, you're talking around $200 right before Christmas. That's not including Black Friday. That's not including anything else. Crystals you might buy. That's straight before Christmas. Now, obviously, Thanksgiving is a massive time in America, and most of this game's players are in America as a big majority. I can see that from my YouTube analytics that most people that watch my stream are from America. So a lot of the people are from America that play the game. So Thanksgiving is also a huge deal. Now, I can't comment on whether people spend money on Thanksgiving. I presume they do buy a bit of food and stuff, but I don't know. I know it's time for families and stuff. I kind of know what Thanksgiving is, but I couldn't tell you people's spending patterns for Thanksgiving. But regardless, even if you spend nothing in the middle of this, it's still 4 in 6 weeks of huge events. We kind of agreed a few years ago that Alliance Leaderboards were a bad idea, and yet we see them coming back right before Christmas. Right before Christmas. And I think something else that hits on top of this is that the new legacy bots, I wouldn't say they're essential content really, but people are going to go for it. I mean, 5-star tracks is not essential, but people are going to want it, definitely. The 5-star combiner is not essential content, but people are definitely going to go and want it. The 5-star Titan, is it going to be essential content? We don't know yet, but people are definitely going to go for it. And the new Prime could be essential content. We just don't know. So there's a lot of content in there that's going to put a lot of pressure for FOMO for people. Fear of missing out. People are going to want this new content to stay relevant. Now, legacy bots, you can kind of say, okay, we don't need to do that. But if Raiden and Dino King are going to be the best combiners in the game, I'm just guessing. I'm not saying they are. But I always say that new content should be better than old content. And I know as 4-star versions, they're very good. So as 5-star versions, people are going to need that to stay relevant at top levels maybe, eventually. As the game gets to get harder with HU19, whatever, but it's probably going to be essential content, or people are going to think it might be. 5-star Arc and Nemesis, they were the best Titans at 4-star and the hardest to beat. So for 5-star, people are definitely going to desire them. So it's kind of a bit of an essential content without looking at the balancing. And the new Prime, everyone's going to watch because want to watch and get because it's the new Prime, basically. But it's a lot to ask. And my big issue is that if this is a kind of new game and we're sat here going 4 in 6 weeks is quite a bit, I'd be like, okay, well, let's give them the feedback, give them a chance to correct it, and they know for the future that, this is not really acceptable. The problem is they do this time and time again. Time and time and time and time and time again. How many times, put it in the chat, how many times do you think we've gone? Honestly, give me a number. How many times do you think that we've spoken with the team about putting too many big events in close proximity and told them that they need to space it out more? I'm not even talking about Christmas and Thanksgiving and in the lull of the year. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking even like Easter. I'm talking like Easter, March, September, July, all those sort of summer months where people sort of got a bit more money and people have, are doing things like that. How many times do you think we've actually spoke to them? How many times? I'm willing to bet it's probably over the years about 30 times. I'm willing to bet. Honestly. Now, again, if it was a new team and the team had never been on the game and they didn't know and they're trying something new, I'd be kind of like, okay, well, we talked about this before, but it's a new team, they don't know, maybe they but most of these people that are running the game now have been there for years. There's no one really new in the team. All the team's been there long enough to know this is not what we want. So the question you're going to ask is, why? Why, after all the feedback we're giving, saying that this is not acceptable, why are they doing it again? So is it a scheduling issue in terms of Hasbro? Because they've agreed with Hasbro, they're going to release them at certain times. Have they just been doing that so little content recently for the last couple of months that now they're like, oh, we need to get some content out quick and just rushing it out? Because something else as well is that none of this is in playtest. So The next bit of content is on the 14th of November. It's only a week away. Now, granted, Tracks and Power Glide are probably the most two balanced things out of all this. Very close. And as we said, Power Glide and Cyclonus are getting a buff, which we're going to look at later and talk a bit about that. So they are probably the nearest thing that is to being balanced. But I'm not sure they are balanced though. I'm not too sure. And we'll talk a bit about that later again. In terms of Combiner, Raiden Dino King, he's not balanced at all. I believe the 4-star version is bugged. I could be wrong, but maybe it wasn't working right, and then someone said again it wasn't working in some way or something. Because he's quite a good combiner, so why do you not see him on defense and attack that much? There's got to be something wrong, I think. Not 100% sure, but I remember we had quite a few problems with him in testing and when he was released quite quickly and rushed. So that's going to be a problem. We've not even tested the 5-star really. We've had a bit of play with it back then, but we've not balanced it because we were told that the 5-star version's not being balanced yet because it's way ahead. So we didn't balance it. We had a go of it. Said we liked it, but it's not balanced at all. It could be overpowered for all I know. It could be underpowered. I don't know. And then we've got the, like I said, the Titan event, Arc and Nemesis. I mean, the 4-star is in the game, but we haven't balanced the 5-star. But I'm just gonna slap a 5-star ability on it that's exactly the same as Fort Max and exactly the same as Metroplex. It's a bit boring. They're just going to do that. Just slap a 5-star ability on it, the same damage, and go, right, okay, there you go. What's the point then in getting Arc and Nemesis? So I didn't actually go for 5-star Fort Max. Found it a waste of time. Didn't need it. And guess what? Up to now, not got it. Don't need it. Doing fine without it. And then also the new Prime. So even the new Prime. The Primes are a huge aspect of the game right now, massive release for the game, and Megatronus just did not hit at all. People just don't want to level him, it's too hard. They haven't got the balance right with the content that was out a month ago. Megatronus is still not right in terms of people wanting to use him, people wanting to level him. I'll be honest, I don't take him to battles. He gives me very little advantage in any way, so I don't bother. And there's actually reports of him crashing the game in wars. That's the last thing I need. So I'm not bothering with Megatronus. So although the new Prime might be balanced behind the scenes, there's a lot more balancing to do for Primes generally, more than what that Prime just is. A lot of questions on how we're going to make Primes relevant. And it's more, again, than just putting another Prime out. It needs to go back to the drawing board a bit and looking at what their actual job is. Because we spoke about the other week about how the new Primes are no better than a combat. And when you have to spend a lot of money leveling them, a lot of XP, like 10 times the XP a bot needs, it needs to be a serious investment, and it needs to be worthy that investment and give you a good advantage in the game. So a lot of content there. And then we talk about combats and bots. The new next combat is early Jan, which is fine, but then we've got a new bot end of Jan. So is that going to be the way where we get a new bot every 3 months, and so we're not going to see him in batches for a year maybe? You know, I just think the way they're doing this, really, they've not really thought it out. It's not been really well thought out. So I'm intrigued to see what happens. We had a boycott chat, I think, back then. I'd be intrigued to see if that opens again and people start boycotting alliances and boycotting events again because of it. I've seen plenty of feedback to the apes, but this has not changed after a week, so I presume it's going to stay. So my advice to everyone is that what I would do if I was you is pick your poison. Pick your event on which one you want to do and go with that. The problem I've got there is I want to go for the new Prime. I do. I've always said that a Prime being melee doesn't work, but a Prime is Gunner or Healer, maybe a special to a point. But definitely not melee. Prime being melee makes no sense. But if there's anything other than that, I'm interested. Because it adds DPS to your team. So it will stay right back. So I'm intrigued on what it's going to be like. The problem I've got is, though, I don't want to miss out on Tracks and Power Glide waiting for this new Prime. I don't want to miss out on Raiden and Dino King as 5-star because I'm waiting for this new Prime. And then miss out on 5-star Titan Arc and Nemesis because I'm saving just to go for this Prime. Then do 100k and the Prime is trash. Or even before it, realise it's trash and go, I'm not doing this event. Because then I've missed some other events where maybe could have competed in. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going for the Prime. I'm going for this instead. But until we get these things in playtest, we're kind of just stuck here thinking, I don't know what to go for, I don't know what to do. Do I do the event? Do I not? Do I need to spend? I've got 101 questions. But what I do know is that they need to get this content in test quickly. Because we've not seen any of it in test properly. And it's getting closer and closer by the minute. Events are speeding up and catching up with us. And they're coming in quick succession. They're hard. So let me know in the chat what you guys think. Are you guys going to pick certain events and go for them? Are you going to do them all? Are you fine still spending loads of money on this game? Oh, you're literally going to go, listen, it's too much for me. I'm done. Let me know in the chat what you guys think.